The race to become the Pirate King is entering its final stretch, as all of the major players in the One Piece world have set sail for the legendary final island. Gol D Roger's treasure, which has enticed would-be pirates for decades, is now within reach, with at least 5 crews that we know of being only one poneglyph away from discovering the secrets that are hidden at the end of the Grand Line. There's been much speculation about which crew will successfully reach this goal first. Understandably, most people hope that Luffy himself would be the one leading the charge. However, with the release of chapter 1082 titled "Let's Go and Claim It," a new contender has entered the race, the Genius Jester himself, Buggy the Clown. But how could this possibly be? How has a comic character from one of the earliest arcs in the series found himself as one of the strongest contenders for the pirate throne? And the more important question, which I'll try to answer in this video, could Buggy actually somehow end up becoming the Pirate King? The first thing that we need to consider is whether if Buggy even wants to become the Pirate King in the first place. Throughout the entire series, Buggy has attempted to maintain a low profile. He wants to remain out of sight and therefore out of danger from any of the truly powerful people on the seas, which compared to Buggy is nearly everyone. However, after accidentally becoming a warlord, Buggy's ambitions seems to have changed. With a strong crew now following his lead, he established himself as a major mercenary group on the Grand Line. The convenience doesn't just end there, as the abolition of the warlord system had resulted in Buggy receiving the biggest promotion of his life when he was miraculously granted the title of Emperor of the Sea. Of course, this wasn't due to Buggy's personal strength. Buggy is little more than a figurehead for the Cross Guild group, with the real powerhouses being Crocodile and Dracula Mihawk. Yet, it's Buggy's position as the face of the group that has led to his elevation to Emperor, while Crocodile and Mihawk maintain true control of the group from the shadows. However, this fact is only known between the three of them, with the rest of the crew fully buying into the propaganda spread about Buggy's strength. This has led to some hilarious misunderstandings within the group, like the crew's main ship being designed in honor of Buggy, with his face as the figurehead, much to his shock and Crocodile and Mihawk's disgust. But while Buggy may have once again fallen into a role beyond his abilities, he has adapted fully, as we have seen in chapter 1082. While Crocodile and Mihawk discussed their plans for the future of Cross Guild, which were centered around the Navy's understanding of the group as a significant threat, the development of the group's overwhelming power, and Crocodile's progress towards gathering enormous wealth, Buggy ends up deciding to show his utter disgust at their actions. He calls out both Crocodile and Mihawk by saying how can they call themselves pirates with the schemes that they are planning, and that they're both trying to do it all backwards. Not only does Buggy inform the pair that both he and Shanks never actually made it to Laugh Tale despite being a part of the Pirate King's crew, we are also shown an important extension to Buggy's backstory where he refuses to join Shanks' crew following Roger's execution 24 years ago. We see that it was not Buggy's pride that had prevented him from joining forces with Shanks, but rather his disappointment in Shanks' refusal to try and reach Laugh Tale with his crew. Buggy outright states that Shanks had shone so brightly with potential that when the two of them had sailed together, Buggy had known that he could not compete with him, so he had decided to let go of his real dream. But with Shanks revealing that he wouldn't be sailing for Laugh Tale, Buggy had decided that he had misjudged Shanks, as he had always believed that Shanks would follow in Roger's footsteps and become the next generation's king. But now, thanks to a series of comical coincidences and conveniences, Buggy finds himself on equal footing with Shanks, both standing as emperors of the new world. Now, if this is the case, then why shouldn't he become the next Pirate King? He tells Mihawk and Crocodile why stop with wealth and power when they can also claim the One Piece and have it all. Mihawk and Crocodile are less than impressed with this idea, and they both remind Buggy that he isn't in charge and that for him to become Pirate King would require them to carry him to the top. Mihawk in particular points out how ridiculous it is to simply expect the two of them to go and pick fights with Shanks, Blackbeard, and the Straw Hats on Buggy's behalf. But this doesn't deter Buggy though, as he manages to make a declaration to the entirety of the Cross Guild group through a Dendenmushi that it is finally time to go and claim the One Piece, much to the shock and anger of Mihawk and Crocodile. But with the entrance of Cross Guild into the fight for the One Piece, the only way to accurately measure their chances of actually succeeding requires us to understand the strength of their competition. So apart from Buggy, who else seems most likely to be the first to reach Laugh Tale? In the last arc and a half, the list of contenders has significantly decreased. With the defeat of both Kaido and Big Mom at the climax of the Wano arc, it had eliminated two of the strongest contenders for the One Piece, and the members of the worst generation who had seemed most likely to take their place have suffered staggering defeats. Captain Kidd's aspirations appeared to be dashed after his crew was annihilated on the shores of Elbaf with a single attack from Redhead Shanks, taking both him and his right-hand man Killer out of the equation. The rest of their crew had faced a similar fate after a combined blow from Dory and Buggy destroying their ship, leaving the Kid Pirates sinking to their potential doom. Trafalgar Law and the Heart Pirates had fared only marginally better, suffering a complete but not total defeat at the hands of the Blackbeard Pirates. While the crew is in a terrible position, losing their ship and most of their members in the conflict, both Beppo and Law had managed to escape, though barely and with significant injuries. Their survival keeps their hope alive as they have the chance to rebuild, unlike the Kid Pirates. So who is left in the race? The main contenders were conveniently listed by Mihawk in the latest chapter. So we have Shanks, Blackbeard and the Straw Hats. Shanks' strength is unquestionable after his destruction of the Kid crew. Now when you consider the assumed strength of Ben Beckman, Yasop, Lucky Roo and the rest of his crew, along with Shanks' knowledge advantage, it's understandable why most people have him leading the race to Laugh Tale. Blackbeard remains the wild card of the group, as his terrifying ability to wield multiple devil fruits and distribute them to his crew give him an advantage that no one else has. But this advantage comes with a cost. As Law was happy to point out, his crew's major weakness is their inability to survive in the sea, which is harder to exploit than one might expect. However, with the addition of Aokiji, the Blackbeard crew is undoubtedly made up of powerhouses, but history has proven that strong crews with little loyalty can be defeated, as Monkey D. Garp and Gol D. Roger had demonstrated with the destruction of the Rocks crew at God Valley. Now the final crew that was mentioned by Mihawk are likely everyone's favorites, and that's the Straw Hats. Now it would be more surprising if the Straw Hats didn't end up being the ultimate finders of the One Piece, but at least since the end of the Wano arc following several power-ups, they now have the strength to justify reaching One Piece. Luffy's Gear 5 grants him the strength to fight on par with anyone else in the One Piece world, while Zoro, Sanji and even Jinbei are strong enough to face almost anyone one-on-one. And that's not to mention the range of specialized abilities the rest of the crew holds. The important thing to note about the Straw Hats is their rapid growth rate. Although it may seem longer due to real world time having passed, it hasn't been that long in the One Piece world since the Straw Hats had taken down Doflamingo in Dressrosa. Comparing their strength from then to now, there is hardly any contest. How strong the crew may be by the end of the series is anyone's guess. But apart from just discussing pirates, it's worth mentioning the strength of the Marines, because anyone racing for the One Piece will likely have to face off against their strongest members. I have an entire video on the channel discussing Garp's strength, and while Akainu, Sengoku, Fujitora, Green Bull and the mysterious Gorosei, as well as Im-sama, could also pose a problem for those intending to reach Laugh Tale. Regardless of all of this, everyone who has maintained relevance by this point in the story is extremely powerful and not someone to be taken lightly. And this of course is Buggy's competition. The Cross Guild isn't too far behind the others. To assess if Buggy has a chance of competing with any of these other crews, we first need to understand the strength of his own crew. A very important factor to consider is Buggy's reputation. We have already seen Buggy's reputation come into play during his time as a warlord, with Hajrudin and his mercenary crew sailing under Buggy due to his false reputation. Initially this was a double-edged sword, since Buggy's crew had lost a significant part of their strength when the giant had pledged loyalty to Luffy. However, Buggy's reputation has grown significantly since then, and it's not impossible for him to use this to recruit strong members to help him to achieve his goals. Now this could be crucial, especially when we remember that the powerful former warlord Edward Weevil might currently need assistance from a strong crew. Now until this happens, the Cross Guild hasn't shown anything suggesting that they are among the top tier crews on the seas. As far as we know, they don't have any named characters outside of Buggy's original crew, with the possible exceptions of Daz Bones through his loyalty to Crocodile. As expected, most of Cross Guild's strength comes from Mihawk and Crocodile, but just how strong are they? Crocodile's strength has often been joked about in the fandom due to the massive disparity between the Alabasta arc and every other arc that he has appeared in. But if we consider Marineford as a true showcase of his abilities, then we know that Crocodile was unafraid to attack Whitebeard, and he is capable of fighting against Mihawk to a standstill, and he is strong enough to take Akainu by surprise and hold his attention. Despite this, Crocodile's surprise attack didn't cause any significant damage to Akainu, meaning that the Admiral's haki likely far surpasses that of the former warlord. Now Mihawk on the other hand is someone that we have seen comparatively little of. Even at Marineford, aside from an opening attack on Whitebeard from kilometers away and a slash that had cut through the frozen sea surrounding the battlefield, he did next to nothing. Our main points of reference are based on how other characters in the world talk about Mihawk. We know that he holds the title of the strongest swordsman in the world, which according to Mihawk himself is an easier achievement than Pirate King, but nonetheless still an incredible title title to hold. We also know that Whitebeard had acknowledged Mihawk's strength from his time fighting evenly against Shanks when he had still had 2 arms. Lastly, we know that Mihawk wields a black blade, one of the strongest swords in the world. Any attempt to rank Mihawk's strength based on this information is speculation at best, but it's worth noting that most people rank Hawkeye as one of the top 10 or even top 5 strongest characters in One Piece. So with the strength of Crossgale now defined, we have one last vital question that we need to try to answer. Could Buggy actually become the Pirate King? To put it simply, the answer is yes. While Crossgale is definitely lagging behind in the race, having not yet started collecting any of the poneglyph markings necessary for finding the final island, all that they really need to do is to defeat or steal the poneglyphs from one of the other crews. By doing this, they will instantly catch up. In fact, we had recently saw that both Shanks and Blackbeard had done exactly this when they had defeated Kid and Law respectively. Now with the forces of Crocodile and Mihawk combined, and possibly being aided by additional strong combatants who may join Crossgale like Weevil, they are more than capable of defeating anyone mentioned in this video under the right circumstances. Now that the destination for Crossgale has been set, the only question is how committed Crocodile and Mihawk will be to the path that Buggy has pushed them onto. But if they do commit to this new goal, then the Straw Hats' plan to find the One Piece has suddenly become much more challenging. Now as always, I'd love to know what all of you think about Buggy's declarations in the comments below. Do you think that Crossgale have a chance of making it to Laugh Tale, or do you think that they will end up just as an ordinary crew acting as a stepping stone for the eventual winners of this massive pirate battle royale? If you have your own theories or video topics that you'd like to see for the future, then leave your suggestions in the comments. And as always, thank you for making it to the end of this video, and I can't wait to see you in my next One Piece video. If you enjoy my content, then you can support my channel through Patreon for as little as $1 a month, or even through YouTube by becoming a channel member. You will gain access to exclusive channel perks and a Discord server which I frequently use. So become a member of my Zero Division and be the first to know about my upcoming videos. And once again, thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.